Hi, I'm Rani Deighe Crowe, and my film is Divide.
What's your film about?
It's kind of an allegory for the divide that has happened in this country based on political differences, and it's set between two siblings, two sisters who are cleaning out their mother's house after she's passed away, and they've been estranged, and they've grown closer during this process. Um, and then as they're kind of wrapping up, there's one final last object that's a sentimental object that they start to sort of fight over who gets to keep it, and that brings up all of the baggage from childhood and all of the political differences until they break the object.
You are the writer producer on this, and you also work with Jeanette Buck, who is the director in writing and producing this as well. How do you split up the writing aspect?
So I'm usually, when I collaborate with Jeanette, usually I'm the primary writer and usually she is the director. Um, but we collaborate all the way through the process. So if I'm writing, I'm constantly getting feedback from her. When she's directing, she's checking in with me. We're sharing a brain, and then we work together all throughout the post production process and are totally checking in with each other. So it's a very collaborative process,
Okay.
and we both do lots of things. So just in our particular collaborative relationship, that's normally how it works.
All right. You had a film with us last year, Safety State.
Safety state.
Yeah. And I believe 2 years before, or maybe three, was Quiet on Set.
Right on set.
Yeah. So how long have you two been working together this way?
Texting a love story, then Heather has four moms, quiet on set, safety state, and now divide. And then I had previously had worked with her as an assistant director on one of her short films. So that's been since 2013, 14, I think.
Okay. So a little over 10 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys produce good work.
Thank you.
So this project came about, it's been in the development phase since 2019, and it's still very relevant today.
It keeps kind of shifting what it means.
Yeah.
I mean, we rewrote it a little bit several times to kind of go with the cast that we had and to go with as events were evolving and what sort of what things were happening in the world, to how some of that shifted. But definitely, we shot this in the summer of 2024, and so after the election, it felt like something. And Safety State was the same way. It meant one thing while we were shooting it, meant one thing. It just continues to shift, like kind of what it means and how relevant it is and who it's meaningful to.
How do you do your casting process? Because each film, I believe, I've seen a different cast. Do you do you normally turn over actors and not keep a repertory company type of thing?
We sometimes work with the same actors. We have a long, deep bench of people that we know from these various places. Um, but then for this one, for Divide, we put an ad in Backstage, and we found Ellie was someone we had known for a while that had gone through Ohio University and had been living in Atlanta, and she was in a Wayfair commercial, and she was in some different TV shows, but she was in Atlanta, so she never went SAG, which we can't afford right now. And a V was somebody that we found through Backstage that was, we talked to a lot of different people and saw different audition tapes, and V came out and wanted to be in the film with us. So that's how we discovered. You got to find, they have to be related, so they have to kind of be in the right age range and kind of look like they can match a little bit. So
Yeah.
we changed. That's part of the reason we rewrote it so many different times. Was for finding like the right pair.
How's this doing on the festival circuit?
Well, this one just started. So we just premiered it at Athens International Film and Video Festival in April, and it just played in East Hampton, which is a little fest in Massachusetts that was very kind to us and seems like it's got some lovely energy about it. I think they're a newer fest. And then it is going to be in QFest St. Louis and now Milwaukee. So that's four within a couple months. So
Yeah, that's a fairly good run to start off with.
it's a good start. It's off to a good start.
Have you guys, I've known you mostly for your short film work because obviously I've programmed many of your films. Have you guys ever thought of doing a feature together?
Uh, well, Jeanette shot her feature film back in 98, 99, and it out of season. And she released that, and that did pretty well. And then she had kind of some setbacks. It's expensive to do a feature. It's
Yeah,
a lot of time. I have several feature scripts that I'm working on, but it's really just about money, funding, time, and all of those things. But yeah, if I mean, we would absolutely do one if we had the support and funding. I've got scripts, so a lot of times Jeanette will be like, I think we have some time, or I've got a little bit of a budget I can apply for. Like, what have you got? And I'll just send her like three or four scripts, and she'll start flipping through, and we'll see like what we're both interested in doing. And um, that's kind of how it starts. And then sometimes we get together, and she's like, I don't know, I've been thinking about this. That's how Safety State was. Safety State was her saying, well, this is what I've been thinking about. I've been really worried about this. And then we start talking about it, and then
yeah.
it becomes the screenplay. And
What's next for you?
next, well, I have a feature film that I was just trying to submit it to the Sundance Development Lab. And it's the problem with Jenny, which is about a third grade girl who starts to develop breasts that are deemed inappropriate for the third grade classroom.
Oh,
And so it's really about, I think of it as kind of like, if you remember Citizen Ruth, which was an
yeah,
Alexander, think of Citizen Ruth meets Little Miss Sunshine kind of tone, about a little girl, and it's really about this little girl, and then how all of the adults like can't deal with this, and how her body gets sexualized and politicized, and she becomes like this talking point for all of these different political, ideologies about like what's appropriate for the third grade classroom. And of course, this the moment like it gets pointed out, then everybody's uncomfortable with her. Meanwhile, she's just a 9-year-old girl who doesn't know what's going on. And there's a 12-year-old boy next door who's starting to notice that she's being neglected. So if the adults can't talk to her about her body and what's happening, then who's going to? It's kind of like I'm very interested in how the things we do to protect children in the name of protecting children, and how sometimes we neglect them and cause more damage in this sort of effort of protecting them. And I'm very interested in like the parental rights. And there's this big gap. I mean, I interviewed like a bunch of third grade teachers from around the country, like 5 third grade teachers from different parts of the country, because with a lot of this parental rights stuff and a lot of these bills that are happening, you can't talk about anything that's about the body, or that anything that would be, sex at all, until kids are like in 5th or 6th grade. That's the first time. But little girls, puberty has been happening earlier and earlier and earlier. And
yeah,
so little girls are getting their periods in 3rd and 4th grade, and teachers, they can't deal with it. They're not allowed to talk to anybody. So, only the nurse, they have to call the parents, they can't talk to the children. So there's this big gap in like what we say is appropriate for children, and scientifically what's actually happening to a lot of them. And then there's what are the causes. And there isn't a cause that you can blame. There's all of these different possibilities for things that are contributing factors. Is it the hormones in the meat? Is it the chemicals and the plastics? Is it the radio towers? Is it the obesity? Is it the excessive content? Like, what are the things that are causing all of this like earlier puberty? But it has been happening earlier and earlier and earlier. But meanwhile, we're saying what is. I was a substitute teacher, and I worked for Head Start, and so there was always this thing where we tried to make everything G-rated for the children, but the children were having lives that were not G-rated, and they had parents. I had so many children that were like being raised by their grandparents because they had parents that were on drugs, or some of them had had bad things happen to them, and and trying to protect them from anything that was also silencing them. And so those are the kind of things that I want to explore in a sort of seriodramatic way, especially at this point in time.
Well, good luck with that project. I hope it comes through.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining me today.
Thank you.